What's going on, y'all? It's your boy, J.H. Gibbons,
And as we'll see.
and welcome to yet another episode of the Acromis Podcast, episode 19. 19, yo.
Another one.
Another one. It doesn't stop. And we told y'all that it wasn't gonna stop. So I don't know what you were expecting. What were they expecting for us to stop? I mean, was that really what they were thinking?
I don't think at this point they want us to.
They shouldn't.
No, 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 no,
They
no.
shouldn't. I mean,
No,
there's
no.
gems after gems.
Absolutely.
There is beautiful videos after beautiful videos. There are somber moments. There are happy moments. There's just a plethora of value that you can get from all the videos that we put out there. And we're always sure that these topics that we're hitting are going to hit you at some point. There are gems in here, discussions that we have, the tone that we try to set for you to be able to take this information in and apply it to your life immediately. That is literally the reason why we created this Acromis podcast. And of course, when it comes to building healthy habits, we have a habit. We have a habit of creating content. We are at episode 19. We have not missed an episode yet, and we do not plan to. Wow, look how far we've come already.
Yeah, and we have
Sheesh.
so much more to come and so many things that's to do, and we're so excited about it, guys. And for those of you that have been with the journey since day one, you've seen the work, you've seen what we've been putting, you've seen the content, and as Jay said, creating those healthy habits. I mean, in truth, we are creating a healthy habit
This is
within a healthy
literally a healthy
habit.
habit. I mean, imagine a week went by and we didn't get to do this. Do you know how crappy I would feel? Do you know how awful? Like I'd feel so empty. I'd feel like something's just off, like my week wouldn't feel right. So this in of itself is it's therapeutic, man. Being able to express ourselves based on a topic that we're very familiar with, based on the experience that we've had, to be able to send that out to you so that we could see you grow along with us growing at the same time. I mean, it's beautiful, honestly.
It is. It is a
Yes.
beautiful feeling. So,
Yes.
as always, guys, we get ready to have some fun. We get ready to
Ooh,
grow together. We're gonna grow through what
yes.
we go through.
Absolutely.
This is where we're on.
And if you are just new to this, if you just is the first time you came to the Chromas podcast, subscribe. Subscribe, hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Give us a like, give us a shout out. It helps us grow. It helps us grow with you and to others out there that also want to grow at the same time. So subscribe, give us a shout out. We're on Spotify, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube. We're everywhere, man. It's Facebook. We're on there now. I mean,
Yes.
it's been a beautiful thing, man.
Hey, and just to
Yeah,
interrupt just for a sec,
absolutely.
when we're saying subscribe on YouTube, hey guys, guess what?
Hmm.
It's free.
Oh my god.
It's free.
We're doing this again?
Yes.
Are you
I've
serious?
got to let them
Oh my
know.
god.
It's free to subscribe. When you hit that
Unbelievable.
button and you subscribe, it helps us reach more people like
We're
you,
giving
like
away things
us,
for free?
for free.
Dog, we gotta fix that, bro. Like what?
How often do you get that nowadays?
Never. We're in America, nothing's free. Even
Absolutely.
information. That's crazy. Wow.
But this is going to be a free gym
This is
that you can
stupid.
share with everyone else. So please, guys, we need you to subscribe. We need to
Subscribe, man.
subscribe so you can reach more
Yes.
people,
Yes.
and we can continue to spread this
Yes.
joy and spread this movement.
As
The
we
Chromas way.
grow, you grow, they grow. Everybody grows. It's
Yes.
beautiful.
So
It's
Jay,
absolutely beautiful.
yes, I'm amped, man. I'm excited. I'm excited
Yo,
this week.
hey, this monster's helping me out, man. I'm amped just as well. Look at that. Oh,
Shout out
this is the
to
best.
Monster.
Yes. This is honestly amazing. If you have not tried this, we are not sponsored by them, by the way. This is
No.
just this tastes so good. It's clean, it goes down easy. It's like you're drinking water, but it gets you amped. It's a beautiful thing.
And as you know, they have variations of kinds
Mhm.
that they offer, but in particular, this one right here
It just
is
hits.
is a really good one.
It just hits.
And it gets the job done.
It does.
I had one before we got started, and it took a while to kick in, but I feel it right now.
Yep.
So I'm feeling good,
Oh,
and I'm
feeling
ready
great.
for us to get into this,
I am
man.
feeling great. Wow. Oh boy. Well, this one is gonna be. I want to say this is probably gonna be one of the most open in terms of conversations that we've had on a podcast thus far,
Hmm.
because I think with something like this, a back and forth is necessary. When you're talking about discovering yourself, like I know in the personal development genre, discovering yourself and grind or hustle, like all those things are tossed around and people don't necessarily know what to do with it or how they can actually discover themselves. So when we talk about discovering yourself, what I would like to put into it are certain age groups that I believe you should be here when you get to that point. Now, look, everybody's life is different. Everybody has hardships.
Mhm.
There might be people who are ahead of this. There might be people who are behind. So I don't want those people to think, oh, my life is over. I failed because now that I'm 30, I have nothing. I don't even have a house. No, no, that's not what I'm after here.
Mhm.
None of us know when our last day on this planet is anyway. So
Yeah.
I can't sit up here and say, okay, you have to be in this age range and you have to be you have to be where you are in life here. If not, then you're behind. I don't want to say that, but what I do want to do is kind of give you a roadmap on how others who have had success in life have done living, if you will, right? Because
Uh-huh.
there's a difference between living and existing. When you're existing, you're just there, you're going through the motions, you don't really know what's happening in your life, you're just walking through it.
Yeah.
And then you get to 60, 70, 80, and you have tons of regrets in your mind of things you wanted to do. I should have gone snowboarding down that mountain. I should have gone to Puerto Rico when I had, or Costa Rica when I had a chance.
Mhm.
I should have taken that day off. I should have been there. You have all these regrets. So the one thing in life, I personally believe the best thing in life is discovery. I think that's why we're here, to discover ourselves, discover what we can do to be able to help others benefit in life, and just discover life in general, man. I think that's the beauty of it. It's that you're constantly learning, you're constantly applying things that you learn in order to constantly level up.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I mean, what is your take on discovering yourself? What does that kind of mean to you?
Well, it means everything to me, honestly. At this point in my life, that's what's happening with
Mm.
me personally.
How so?
Bit of a metamorphosis, if you will, of
Mm.
just discovering myself. Like, what I may have enjoyed in my 20s and my 30s is different.
Mm.
My lifestyle completely different.
Mm.
The way I take care of myself completely different.
Yeah.
Um, my thought process is definitely has matured.
Mm.
And just my ambition is just as hungry as it's ever
Mm.
been.
So could you have been at this point that you are now at the age of 20?
Hmm. As simple of an answer that is a bit complex because in theory, yes,
Okay.
I could have been,
Okay.
but
Interesting.
I've had to experience what I've
Hmm.
had to go through to get to this point now where I'm ready for
Uh-huh.
whatever I'm facing now.
Okay. So that keyword experience, do you feel as though you could be where you are now at the age of 20 without that experience that you've had?
No,
Okay.
because my thought process would not have been the
Mm.
same. I hadn't at the age of 20, I was, how we talked about the concept about the pond. I was
Right.
still at the transition of the pond discovering there's a river.
Mm.
Now I'm at this place where I'm hitting the ocean.
Mm.
So
Okay.
it was a different thought process. That
Okay.
20-year-old Will was a different person.
Mm.
And the way I saw the world, my views were different. More
Sure.
importantly, how I felt about myself was different.
Mm. How so?
That I interestingly enough, at that point, I was at another phase in my life where things was becoming an eye-opening scenario for me because
Okay.
you're still young at that point, so you're just still
Just left the
discovering.
teens, man. You just
Yeah,
left
you
the teens.
you really you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So it's
Well,
just, you're just learning, and
damn, that's a gem right there.
yeah, yeah.
That's a
Hashtag
gem.
you don't know what
Yeah.
you don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's very true. That's very true.
So like I just recall like feelings of certain things, to be nostalgic because you can't always recollect everything. But
Mm.
20-year-old me was still trying to discover myself at that point. I believe that was at the point where I was in a terrible car accident and I was learning how to walk again.
Oh, geez.
So
Wow.
life had hit me hard at that point. So I had to like learn things about myself, and face truths and grow through what I was going through then. And yeah, like I guess that's why I said what I mentioned earlier about like the experiences. I needed to go through what I had to, because at that point, prior to that, I was mature. I was like, I was focused enough, but I wasn't as driven as I should have been. And then reality struck and it just kicked my
Mm.
ass. So
Right.
it was like my thought process began to shift then, where I
Okay.
appreciated life more.
Mm. Okay. At what age could you say that you're like, all right, I found a reason to live. I found a reason to grow. I'm starting. Look, I'm still kind of lost in this forest of life, but I'm starting to find my way. I'm starting to take this path that other people have taken. So, the path is still somewhat visible, but there's sticks, there's stones, there's logs, there's a whole bunch of crap that fell into this path that has made it a little bit harder for me to walk. When did you start finding that reason for you to be like, all right, I'm going to walk this path here, though there might be difficulties along the way?
I guess in truth, I've always been the type of person I prefer to go the road of adversity, because I feel like I grow more that way.
Okay.
If I had, if hey guys, if everything in life came easy to you and you never knew struggle, you never knew adversity, you never had to fight your way through something,
Sure.
albeit physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, whatever it is, you haven't had to have a fight or flight scenario in your life. How do you grow? Like, how do you appreciate it? Hell, how do you appreciate life?
Yeah.
How do you appreciate the little wins? Right? Because we overlook those little wins for the moments in life that are extremely difficult, and we don't appreciate them. Hell, the fact that you woke up today, if you're watching this today, guess what, guys?
That's
Win.
crazy.
Congratulations.
That's a blessing.
You
bro.
dropping some jewels inside your mind. You're allowing us to provide that to you. So it's a win. Own that. Take it. Apply it to yourself, man. It's growth. So that's how I see it, because there was a point in time where I just didn't get it that way. Now, again, let's go back to 20-year-old Will, since we're on that subject.
Sure.
In the adversity of what I was facing, like I said, learning how to walk again and just how difficult that was. My mindset wasn't in the right place. I started drinking. I was just not healthy. I was not good because I wasn't happy where I was.
You were at least 21 when you started drinking, right?
You know what I mean? That's the right way to go about it. Of age. So look, you go through these adversities and you want to grow through them, because on the outcome of it, you are a better person for it. If you have the ability to not hold yourself down for the experiences that you've been through, to not let the history of it be continuous to prevent you from growing forward. You reflect on it, you analyze what you need to, so that you can see where you're headed, so that you can make better practical decisions in life to be better for you, not for anyone else. And that's what I'm learning in my 30s. So I transitioned from that point where I was on that road, and then I don't want to say I had a distraction, but I wasn't loving myself, Jay, enough to continue that process. I started to substitute how I felt about me and what I needed for my growth, what I needed to do to pursue my aspirations and ambitions. I put that on hold. You know what I'm saying? I put that on hold because I've found something to hold on to. And I rode with that, and I said, I'll just go with life. I'll go with the flow, and I'll see where it takes me. And long story short, it was something that I allowed to not allow me to focus on my growth for William. And then when that was completed, that part of the phase of my life was done. I'm understanding now that while it may have been a good thing that I was able to persevere through whatever I was dealing with and grow through it, I had the life where people would think that that's for them. You have the family, you get married, and you have the great job, and you're making a really good living. And if your foundation isn't stable, what happens?
The whole house crumbles. Right?
Exactly. So I've experienced what that life was like, but at the same time, I put that in the way before my growth. So now that life after marriage, of course, my sprouts, my babies they're my priority, but I got to love me first so that I can give them the right love and success they need in their life. But I'm understanding now, hey, Will, you're at a point now that you do need to focus on you. You do need to focus on what the aspirations you had then, see if it's still what you prefer to seek now. And if it's not, identify what those things are, because you are a new person.
Oh wow. Okay.
You know,
Right.
you're not I'm not who I was in my 20s.
Right.
You know,
Sure.
same with you, Jay. You know how
Yeah.
that is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm sure as I transition to like I'm 34 now, as a transition to hit to the 40s,
Mhm.
my thought process would probably be different by then.
Yeah.
I'm hoping
Okay.
elevated.
Right.
That's the goal, right?
So perfect. All right. So perfect transition. So when you're moving out of your 20s, it seems like there are a lot of lessons learned. There are a lot of things that you try to bring out as you get closer to your 30s,
Mm.
because you're now carrying those lessons that you learned along the path, and you needed that experience
Mhm.
to be able to prepare you for the next stage of your life.
Yeah.
So when you entered the 30s, boom, 30th birthday, did you was there a transition in your mind, like, for you? Like, honestly, for me, I think for the first time in my life, and it didn't happen when I was 21 or even 25, but for whatever reason, the moment I hit 30, I was like, damn, I'm a man now. I don't know. I don't know what else. The first thing that entered my mind, I was like, yo, I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'm not in my 20s anymore.
Mhm.
I'm a grown man. And
Yeah.
hey, maybe I'll feel the same way when I'm 40 or something. But for whatever reason, 30 was a transition into a sort of a settling phase of J.H. Gibbons, right?
Okay.
It was less, you know, because of course I was in college and I was still growing in the career I'm in now. So it was more of a, okay, I'm still trying to find myself. I wasn't really enjoying what I was doing much. It wasn't singing to my heart. And you know, this same transition is somewhat still going on, but at the same time, at least in society, they would tell you, okay, you're in your 30s now. Now is when you start with the family, you know, you start settling with people, you start getting in your ways, whatever those ways were that you carved out in your 20s, you start settling there. Do you believe that's true, in your opinion?
Ooh, that's a really good question, man. And you
Hmm.
know, I do think that there's a lot of truth to it,
Okay.
but you know, for the sake of this episode and like the you know the topic of discovering
Hmm.
yourself, I think that begs an even deeper question. It's
Okay.
like with society being the way it is, there
Hmm.
is this standard, and we were just talking about this not too
We
long,
were,
Jay.
we were right
There's
before we
this
hit record.
standard. This is dope. This is so dope. There's this standard where you got. I don't want to label it to America, but the
Mhm.
dream is to have the house, the car, the dog, the family, the picket fence.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, to have it all, to have all of that, right?
Yep.
But is it for you?
Damn. Damn.
I was
Is it
just
for
yeah, and yes, and
you?
I was just having a
Uh,
conversation with someone else recently about that.
sure.
Shout out to you. You know who you
I
are.
know who you are. Shout out to you.
And what she said to me was we were agreeing on that, and we had
Sure.
a pretty decent conversation on that part for what it was worth.
Mhm.
And I think after what I took after that to myself, and then what we were just discussing about it,
Yeah.
is like, you know, this is a new day and age where
Mm.
the standard of what worked in a certain era and time. I don't want to single out a certain area, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like say the 40s and the 50s. And
Ooh.
hey, look,
Triggered.
it was there was a different time. It was a different thought process.
That is true.
And with you know, we're humans and we're evolving and our
Mm.
thought process is growing too. It isn't,
Mm.
albeit a physical metamorphosis of change is happening.
I was gonna
What
say.
I'm
Okay.
saying is
Mhm.
there is a new thought process that's out here
Mm.
where so often do we settle for what's not for us for the
Woo.
sake of others than what's
Damn.
for us in our truth.
Mm.
I can say this
Mm.
because the reality of it is I lived it.
Mm.
You hear me? Like I lived that American dream. I
Mm.
lived that if you do it this way, you do it that
Yep.
way, you're making it.
Mm.
And that was a part of my flaws and a part of my trauma.
Mm.
And that fueled the need to feel like I mattered if I didn't do these things, right? That because I needed perfection because of what that was all of a part of it too. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right,
When
right,
you
right,
really think
right.
about it. So
Yeah.
when
Mm.
everything happened in transition in my life where that part of my life, that chapter of my life has been closed, where, you know, again, you're not married and you're learning how to co-parent and you're learning how to define and learn yourself and
Sure.
and heal through your traumas. As I'm speaking for myself, I am discovering now in my 30s
Mm.
who Will is today. And
Mm.
now I understand that part of discovering yourself and how important it is and how important of loving yourself is. And you know, it's a gray line, because most people who have that thought process of like that American dream standard, or just that you got to have this, if you're not doing it that way, you're doing it wrong. Like Jay, we were just talking about that, where because of the shift in how everything seems to be moving towards society, there is a higher possibility that we may see a decline in births. Like it's real.
I mean,
like,
a lot of people are focused on their careers. They're focused on, you know, themselves, not in a selfish way, but they want to continue to grow. They want to continue to try to understand who they are and what their purpose is in society. And, you know, honestly, sometimes if there are compatibility issues in a relationship, that can get in the way. So I mean, go ahead.
That part though, Jay, relationships. That's another thing that
go ahead.
The concept, look, we digging in, guys. We digging in. You know what I mean? I got time today.
Yes, he does.
So I got energy too.
Got a lot of time.
Thank you, Monster. Hey, look, the concept of a relationship and the concept of commitment and everything, that all plays a role too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not justifying anyone doing an action to someone, a deceitful action of something that's wrong, where you are making this person under false pretenses believe that there's going to be something more than what it is, or whatever you establish it to be. That's wrong. I don't care how you flip it. I don't care how you dice it. That is a narcissistic tendency to do. And it's a sickness. And if you find yourself doing that, please try to do the work on yourself before you ruin someone else. So that's just to put a real gem out there for you. But if you come into an establishment and complete transparency of knowing a person, and you guys have an understanding with one another, and you're capable to work within your emotions, then that's enough. For me, that falls in line with the part of discovering yourself, where your wants and your needs, and assessing what that is for another person, but not necessarily this ideal standard of the relationship. That's changed too. That's not the same, bro.
Hold on. Let's stay there.
That's not the same no more.
Let's stay there. So
it's not.
So I know in the past it was, well, of course we all know, you know, the woman stays in the kitchen, she cooks, the man goes out, does all the work, and like all of that has completely changed.
Absolutely. It's
has.
Not the same no more, bro.
No, not at all. Not at all.
For women and how that thought process is, women are definitely more ambitious, and that's a beautiful thing. Hey, personally, I've never agreed with that concept of women should be in the kitchen and that whole thought process, and Jay as well, where we're equals. And it should be, you know, we're human at the end of the day, right? So we're equals, regardless. So I think when you look at it from that perspective, as to like the standard of how things are expected to be, as opposed to what they are, this is where it's getting misconstrued, and it's harder for people to process that. And you know, what do you do about that, Jay? Like, how do you combat the thought process of that? Because ultimately, this is a part of defining who you are. You know, defining your needs and your wants through your growth, and that's for me is what I've learned. You know, I've learned that, like, who I was and my thought process when I was married and before that part, and how I thought relationship would be past, you know, from past prior experiences to, you know, just kind of being me and being out here now. It's a different world. And I understand it now, because you got to really understand what's for you. You got to know what's for you.
I think a lot of it, especially when it comes to relationships, a lot of it comes down to compatibility. And unfortunately, what I've seen is that when a relationship gets to a point, there seems to be certain things that come out that people didn't realize before, or maybe they were blinded by certain things when they first got in it. Because of the same societal dream, if you will, of being married, going through hills or peaks and valleys in your relationship, which all relationships do. But then there's also an extent where, are you going through some sort of mental abuse situation where you feel stuck, you feel dominated, but you also feel, because of the pressures of society, you have to stick in this relationship. You have to continue to be in it, because this is what society has deemed appropriate. And if you leave, if you try to get out, if you quit, then, you know, society is going to deem that you failed. Like, this is the end of the road for you. You will never find happiness again. So I think I think what it comes down to is being able to work with the person that you're with. Like the way I look at the way I've started looking at relationships, and the one I'm in too,
Mhm.
it is a partnership, right? So it's
Yes.
whatever benefits both of us will benefit the relationship as a whole. So I think a lot of that it comes down to communication, right?
Mhm.
Effective communication, open communication. It comes down to trust. It comes down to patience. It comes down to honesty. I think all of those play a role in the longevity of a relationship.
Mm.
I think when it first starts out, you know, it passes the puppy love phase, of course. It passes the phase of gosh, infatuation, or I'm just so in love with this person, to a stage where you're like, man, we have to grow together. There are things that we will constantly work on. There are things that we'll constantly build
Oh, this
upon,
is getting
but
good.
we're in this together. And if we're both on the same page, if we're both compatible, there wouldn't be any issues. Because if there's something that your partner is uncomfortable with, they should be comfortable enough to share it with you so that you know. And as a partner, you should then be able to take that in and say, okay, babe, I hear you. Let's try to do XYZ instead. So each and every time you're growing, instead of being combative, instead of being, no, I'm not going to do that. We're not going to do this. I want to do XYZ. Now your partner feels like, damn, this partnership isn't worth it. This
Mm.
partnership isn't for me. I thought we were going to do XYZ. Instead, you want to do XYZ by yourself. And now I feel like I should be doing something by myself. Now I feel like I'm trapped because
Ooh.
there's nothing else that I could possibly do to be able to make you happy, to be able to make this partnership work. So that's when other people look to other businesses and try to see if there's compatibility there. They see, oh well, God, this business is growing, their profits are looking sweet. Maybe I should jump over there and hop into that business. But
Mhm.
before it gets to that stage, honestly, I think it really just comes down to effective communication.
Yes. And I had to get comfortable
Yeah,
because
I
this
know
is
it's
about
getting
we
a little
we about
heated in here.
it's about to get good.
I mean,
It's
I
about
got
to
the
get
AC
good.
on. Look, we got lights in front of us. I thought the AC was booming. I
Hey,
turned
it's
this joint
booming.
down,
It's
but
the
it's really
monster,
getting,
man. The
yeah.
monster's doing it. Another shout
Mhm.
out. The monster is just amazing. Ah,
Monster Energy drink.
look, hey, I'm gonna take it a step further, Jay.
Go ahead.
Look, everything you said is spot on. I
Mhm.
agree 100%. But see,
Sure.
there's another level of complexity to this that
Okay.
I've learned life after that sort of approach with relationships, and I do like the concept of how you referenced it.
Sure.
You have to understand one thing that's not being taken into the equation there:
Mhm.
comprehension,
Mm.
because what you say and
Mm.
what's being the thought process is of how it's being delivered to your partner or
Sure.
whomever the individual is. Sometimes is misconstrued about their thought process of how they perceive what you're telling them
Hmm.
is to be. So if you're like, oh, I don't like this,
Mhm.
and they're like, okay, how
So would that then turn to effective communication?
it 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 depends. It
Okay.
depends.
Because
Like,
because when I say effective communication, I do mean like understanding, not necessarily talking at each other, but being able to build effectively through speaking and listening, taking something in, listening, growing together. But if that same situation, if I say, hey, we're not going to do this, and they say okay, when the communication is effective, I do expect them to come back and say, I hear what you're saying, babe, but here's why I thought about this is why I'm thinking that we should do this. XYZ, lotta, lotta, lotta.
I get that.
But what you're saying is that are you saying that when they say okay, then they stop listening to you?
I'm not. Well, here's the thing. There's communication styles.
Mm,
You have to identify what your partner or whom you're dealing with communication style is,
okay.
and you have to find a way to be able to speak each other's language.
Mm.
You got to be able to do that.
How do
And
you how do you find that out? Like how do you determine what language they're speaking if they're
if
not able to understand what you're saying?
it's a scary line it's a scary line to because again, because
Okay.
then it depends on the person. Hell, worst case scenario, you're dealing with a narcissist. Because then that's
Because nothing you say matters, right? I mean,
exactly.
yeah.
So but it's like you're just trying to identify certain tendencies or just things that you hear or conversations and history that you've built with each other through your conversation, through your form of attempting effective communication.
Sure.
Because as we know, sometimes it isn't always delivered in the way we're trying to get it out. And that doesn't necessarily mean you're not doing it the right way. It's just understanding that this other person's like style of communication, it's different from you, because we are all different, you know, of how just in any form of communication. So I think comprehension is a part that gets lost, especially in a lengthy relationship. Because in the beginning, and I say this because in the beginning, you are, even if it's relationship, situationship, just getting to know someone, you are more keen to be attentive to everything that person says. Absolutely. Because you are trying to get to know them, because it's exciting. Yeah. It's new.
It's shiny new toy.
Yeah. So you are just flabbergasted about whatever comes from this being, because it's new to you and it's giving you that energy, which is why for me, I'm high key big on vibes. It's a Will thing. I'm big on vibes now. Vibes is important to me. But that's what you pay attention to in the beginning. But what happens is it gets lost with time, because you get comfortable with what seems to be familiar. So then it's not necessarily the bigger need to focus on those things. It's not such a need to focus on truly comprehending what's happening with your progress with each other over time, because you're used to that. Like if you have a conversation with someone and like I mentioned earlier about saying, okay, like you said, I prefer this to not be this way, or I feel this way, but you say, okay, and you have that conversation again with that person. Why is that happening again? See, in the beginning, people will be more keen to want to understand and listen and to adjust and adapt themselves, right? To remain equally yoked with one another. Over time, that gets lost because you put in this deposit of like a bank into time put in. Honestly, guys, respectfully, that don't matter. No, it don't matter, because all you got is right now. Yeah. So
every day's a day one.
Yeah. So I say it all the time. You got to choose each other every day. And no matter what. And I don't want to single this to just a couple, like friendships, family, business. You have got to choose each other every day and invest into each other and show the attentiveness in it. And I know that requires energy. I know that requires time. But if something's worth it to you enough, you invest it enough. You invest. Worth it. It got to be worth it.
Has to be worth it.
You know, first you got to be worth it to you, because we are all so damn worth it. But then if you're going to take on that task of building a rapport with someone of any kind, hey, that's the tip I can give from what I'm learning through my experiences. And this is what I try to be mindful of now. Like the attentiveness to, like, if I'm just meeting you now, I need to be able to keep that same energy enough. Like we're human, right? But keep the same energy enough where I want to invest into getting to know you as the person that you are, and as you will continue to become through time, because we do change. But for me, comprehension is that new level I'm discovering, where it's like, oh damn, compatibility ain't at all. That ain't everything, because you really could find somebody you're compatible with and it still be garbage. It get to a point because you banked and you cashed out all the history of the time you had, and you're relying on that. That's not gonna get you by.
So do you think people approach like their first dates or their first, like the first early stages of relationships in a bad way? Do you think that they're trying to put so much of themselves out there to quote unquote please a partner so that they can see them in a certain light, so that when they do get comfortable 4 or 5 years down the road, it's like, well, I thought this is what I'm getting, but this is what I have now. Do you think that then happens?
I think there's truth to that. Okay. But I think you have to look at yourself. Is there a pattern that's occurring? Is there, like, and I'm gonna be real with you, my history, my relationships, I've had two serious relationships in my life, and someone else that I was in the process of maybe seeking a relationship, like post-marriage, where it was just like I really felt that person, and things went whatever the way it went, but like through each instance you have to ask yourself, is there a pattern that you're falling into or that you're creating for you? Because it's not necessarily about them.
That's true.
And I'm not saying it was a bad thing, because the truth is, I won't reference anyone, but out of them, it wasn't all bad with because look, at a certain point in time, I chose you.
Yeah.
So you were good then.
You had to be good at that point.
Hell
at
yeah.
some point
So I can't pick what I want out of it. Nah,
Right.
it was good at some point. And then things get to a point where you identify that you're not for each other, right? Or maybe this isn't the right time.
Why does it take so long? Do you have to go through things? Like what you know,
you as a person.
Right. Okay.
I think it depends on how you assess things, where you are. Are you in a place where you can be honest with your truth? And you know, each instance, I think, like, when I look back at me now, post those situations, I wasn't in my truth enough to recognize where we were and assess it for what it was, because I was still doing work for me.
And what does that mean, being in your truth? Like, define
to ask myself the tough questions, like, you know, if there's distance involved, how does this realistically work if we take it to the next level? Okay. You know, if I'm discovering signs about a person or tendencies I'm not really necessarily liking, and I brought it to their attention, or they brought it to mine, how did I respond? And did I feel the need to make adjustments because I thought we were worth it and it was beneficial to me as a person? Vice versa, that person, you know, listened to what I had to offer, and did I matter to them enough for that? And was it, you know, am I bringing growth? Am I bringing anything? What can I bring to the table with them? That's going to be beneficial for both of us, this partnership, right?
Right.
And you have to ask yourself those tough questions. And you know, and I say this, like, for that last scenario I had, you know, the woman, the person, she asked me some tough questions towards the end, and I didn't have an answer for her, because the reality of it is where we were. I'm not saying it was bad. It wasn't bad. It was just, it didn't make sense at this point in our lives. So it sucked. But the truth was, we were better off not pursuing any further than where we were, because it was not gonna, it wasn't what it needed to have been at that point in time in life.
Okay.
And personally, for me, I wasn't really ready for a relationship. I wasn't ready. And I thought, and I was trying to convince myself I was, because I wanted it to work so bad with this person.
Okay.
And I'm sure vice versa, that person felt that way at that time. But
right.
You got to, this is where mature heads and comprehension comes in, and just really reflecting on things and being in your truth to say, you know what, damn, you're right.
I can't do it.
This can't be what it is. So, you know, but like you mentioned earlier, Jay, a lot of times people will brush that to the side because they're like, nah, I'm gonna make it. I need this to work. And frankly speaking, I was in a marriage like that where it went on for much longer than it needed to.
Okay.
It should have ended a long time ago, because we weren't where we needed to be. We weren't equally compatible with each other, and the comprehension level wasn't there. The communication wasn't there. The connection wasn't there. It was lost. It was severed at some point.
Was there a breakdown? I mean, earlier on, you know, I'm sure it was peaches and cream. Things were going well. Like, was there a breakdown at some point that you were just like, man, what happened here?
Yes. I would try to stray away from discussing that topic in depth. Right. But you know exactly when that part was where it just went awry, and I was left scratching my head, like, what the hell happened? But that was a sign then that I should have known, you know what, this isn't it. But I wanted to pursue what I thought that was best for everyone else. Societal I was worried about what people was going to think and feel. Okay. I was worried about being labeled as a failure in my marriage. At that part of my life, I was worried about not being enough. And if anything, as crazy as this is going to sound, it made me try harder. Wow. Because I felt like I did something wrong. I felt like it was me. So this is why it's important that you got to work on yourself and really discover who you are. So transitioning from that into my 20s, and spending practically my whole 20s with one person in the early part of my 30s, it was just like, ooh. And coming out of that, it's like, damn, who was I? Yeah. Who am I? Like, I shared some with you, personal, like a day or two ago about the revelation I had about looking back and reflecting on where I was when I was at my worst. Yeah. And seeing that. And then honestly, it was an emotional moment, but it was like, it wasn't sad. I was like, damn, reflect on that. And then look at who I am today. I'm like, oh my God.
It was night and day. I mean, I I saw those things next to each other, and I honestly thought there were two other people. Like the picture before looked like a friend that I have, and I was like, you looked just like him.
Mhm.
But then when I saw the transition, I was like, I mean, it was everything. It was the body language, it was the facial expressions, it was the appearance. Like you could see there was just a dramatic change.
Mhm.
And every time I look, I'm like, that is unbelievable, man. Like I
Hey, it scared me, dude. Like
I know.
I really
That's
looked and I
crazy.
said, this really looks like two different
That
people.
does. It does. I was like, man, I think you sent me the wrong picture.
I didn't know. Like if it weren't me, I wouldn't believe it was me. Because I looked and I said,
Yeah.
yo, I do not. That is who
That
I
is night
was.
and day.
And I was like,
Wow.
damn. I
Good
remember
God.
seeing the what I felt, the fear, the
Mhm.
hurt, the
Yep.
shame, the pain of life, and just I
Mm.
was at that. I was in that void we talked about last week.
Mhm.
That was when I was in that void. But that's when the moment where I decided to make a conscious choice to
Mm.
try to face myself in the mirror in a way I hadn't. And you saw, and even with the photo, it's like one of those live ones. So I'm
Mhm.
glad I took it because it was like I needed to capture how I felt in that moment.
Mhm.
And fast forward, like with us coming to the conclusion of Mental Health Awareness
Mm.
Month, like I thought it was really important, and maybe hopefully we'll work on that and send some content out on that because that is a
Yeah.
part of I want to share with others to say, hey, like it is a choice. You
Mm.
fight for you because
Mm.
you're so damn worth it. And
Mm.
and in that moment of what I did to help me guys to share that with you was share part of my truth through my support system. So I reached out to certain people and provided that reflection that I felt in the moment because it was important because they all played a role in me
Mm.
becoming and growing into the person I am now. And when I have these moments, it's important to recognize not only reaching out to them when it's dire, but to give gratitude and show my appreciation for them in my life. Because
Absolutely.
Jay, I couldn't be who I am if you weren't there for me to help me through
Oh,
that
I'm always
process,
here,
man.
man. I appreciate it.
And I hope that you feel this, it's sincere, and I'm always there for you too.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
those love and care out there, and our Chrome's community, we're always here
I
too.
mean, we're here.
Yeah,
We don't go
so
anywhere,
I
honestly.
just want to share that, Jay,
Yeah.
because this is such huge. This is so important this month,
Mhm.
and I'm fearless to be able to share that because I do feel as though there, people remain voiceless inward because they're afraid of what people are going to perceive about them, and
Yeah.
life is too short, man, to worry
Mhm.
about that and not appreciate you for you
Yep.
because that goes hand in hand with what we're talking about this week with self-discovery, and that's
Absolutely.
what that was. It was a discovery, a reflection of where I am now, and I love me now.
Mhm.
And though we all go through adversities, I know that I'm enough.
Mm.
I'm enough. And part of my healing process, the
Mhm.
introverted part of me,
Sure.
it's like I shared with you, I gotta break that.
Mhm.
Like where I get to those moments where my gauge is low and not feeling my best self, and
Okay.
then I isolate to recharge. That's okay to a degree,
Mm.
but you don't want to isolate yourself entirely. That you get to a point, at least in my case, where if you're someone who suffered from that sort of trauma where you feel like you're not enough, um, to isolate yourself because you think you're not enough because of whatever you're going through, you're not your best
Yeah.
self.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that was
Yeah.
me saying, hey, even though at that point I'm working through these things and I still am,
Mm.
I am enough and I know it. And I thank you for being a part of this process, and let me share that with you because I'm breaking barriers, because I'm going to
Absolutely.
grow, because as we transition from our
Mhm.
30s to hit that 40s, I'm gonna be there a little bit before you, but if we
Just a
hit
little bit,
there,
right?
I'm just,
Just a little bit.
hey, I
Yeah.
want to be the best will that I can by the time I'm 40.
Sure.
And sure enough, the aspirations and the goals, I'm going to hit them. We're going to
Mm.
hit them. So I'm not concerned about that because I have the fight in me. I have
Okay.
that dog in me. And that's just going to be what it is. But
So do
yeah.
you think, I mean, do you think when you get to your 40s, is that more of a do you would you track yourself to say, okay, when I hit my 40s, I know what I know where I'm going in life. I know roughly what my purpose is, and
Mhm.
I'm beginning to transition to be able to help others because of the experiences I've had.
Mhm.
Is that sort of what the 40s look like to you?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Great assessment. That's where I am, where I am this I've gotten to the point where I'm discovering my purposes,
Sure. Okay.
because then I'm realizing there are multiple ones for
Mm.
myself and ultimately for the type of person I am that genuinely wants to bring the joy that I'm receiving to others. I want to quote Maya Angelou, but I don't. I'm worried I'm gonna get it
Don't want
wrong.
to
But
butcher it.
yeah, I'm gonna try. I think she had a quote, something along the lines, where, when you begin to do the healing, you go out and you heal someone else.
Mm,
And that's where I am.
mm,
That's one of my purposes, to realize everything I had experienced, I was supposed to go through, Jay. That's why I said from my
mm,
20s to where I'm at now.
mm,
You're absolutely right. I needed the experience, because
mm,
I am not who I was,
mm,
nor who I will become, because
mm.
I'm going to grow to be more than what I am today.
So it's a will see destiny that this is you were supposed to be here,
Absolutely.
regardless.
And what I and a real truth I had to ask myself, and you should ask yourself, if you had to go through everything you went through in your life to be who you're becoming, would you
Mm,
do it? I would.
mm. You do it all over again.
There's no other way,
Mm.
because I couldn't be me. You wouldn't get the authenticity of me.
That's true. That's true.
So
So even do you think that the situations would have been the same? Like, would you say, yes, if I were to go back in time, I'd do everything over again, including the situations that got me here? Because it could have been another situation that brought you to the same place.
uh
But
there
would
are
you have
definitely
wanted that?
variations.
Mm-hmm.
I truly believe, and I'll stand on it. No,
It had to
it
be
had to
exactly what
be the
happened.
way everything that's
Mm,
happening in life happens
touche.
the way it's supposed to.
Mm,
Hell, had
that's
things
deep.
not happened, we wouldn't known each
That's
other.
very true.
So
That's very true.
this wouldn't
Yeah.
be here
This
right
wouldn't have
now.
existed.
We wouldn't
Yeah.
be able to reach the people we're reaching,
Mm,
to help the lives we've helped,
yeah.
and to grow to into what we're becoming.
That's
So
deep.
I eagerly look forward to whatever's next.
Mm-hmm.
I take the good and the bad with it, because I know that I'm going to grow through it. But in truth, I appreciate both
Mm-hmm.
equally, because I'm still alive through it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an opportunity to be able to continue to do my healing for what
Mm-hmm.
it's worth, and to give that joy out to others, because
Mm,
that's all I want to do at this point.
man,
That's the vibe I'm on. That's
that's
all I
love.
want to give. It's just,
Giving joy out to
yeah,
other
you say it
people.
all the time: peace, love, prosperity, sincerity, joy. We want to just get,
Mm,
this is what we want to do. We just want to give
that
that
is the
out.
essence of a Cronus.
And that's life. That's the
Yeah.
beauty of life. Those are the parts we
Yeah.
choose, people.
Mm,
We choose those parts. So if in discovering yourself, you should find all of those things.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think when you get to a certain age, like even like your 50s, your
Mhm.
60s, your 70s, if God's fair life and your destiny is to just keep rolling and helping people,
Mhm.
when when do you think that you have reached the apex of your life?
Oh, ooh, it's
It's a deep question.
good.
It's a deep question, because in some cases, it's like, is there one? Is it a forever chase? Is it something that you're always going to be going for?
You should,
Mm,
until your
okay.
very last day. I'll tell you this
Mm,
much: the fact that, and you've experienced it too,
mm,
we've already, from what we're doing in this one aspiration of our passion and our purpose,
mm.
because this is I feel is our purpose,
Yeah.
where it was destined to be this way. But to
Mm.
have had people reach out and to let me know and let Jay know the difference we've made in their life, that
That's amazing.
that
That's
you
amazing.
know there's certain things and certain apex moments that you hit where those things happen, where for me as a
Mm,
father, when someone says to me how great of a father I am,
mm,
I know in my heart I give the best I got, but for it to be recognized through others, and I'm not trying to
mm.
impress anyone, I
Especially
just want the best.
strangers.
Yeah,
Yeah, strangers. I mean, that's
that is an apex moment for me.
mm, okay.
That hits me more,
Okay.
and I feel it emotionally, and I hold on to it, because it lets me know, Will, you're doing which is, hey, there's no script to this, but you're doing things
Mm-hmm,
the right way. You're reaching people in a way where maybe it's making a difference in how they parent or what they do.
mm-hmm.
And then when you have those moments where when I share parts of my story, and I have people reach out to me, male or female, and say, hey,
Sure.
I've seen your growth. I've seen your change, and you motivated me to work out. You motivated me to think of care about myself, or love myself more.
Mm,
Y'all continue to do what y'all doing. Like, it's appreciated.
yep.
I've had people saying, we're watching you.
Mm.
Like, we're like the group. Like,
Yes.
it's a movement,
I
and
love it.
it's real. And yeah, we may not have reached a huge massive audience
No,
yet,
not
but
yet.
that doesn't mean we won't get there. But every single individual piece of that is a win. That's an apex
Mm-hmm.
moment where it's like, you know what? thank you to the higher beings, whatever that is, because it all had to happen to get to this point, because
Absolutely.
that was what a part of what I was seeking of not knowing about myself, transitioning to the point where change started to happen.
Right.
You
Okay.
feel like you're destined for something greater, and you
Mm.
don't know what that is yet, because if you're not trying to do the work to find yourself, but that inner voice, that inner thing in you is trying to guide you through it. Sometimes it has to be
Mm.
pushed and forced to the surface to get there.
It's like your subconscious.
Subconscious, yes. And there's layers to it where, I'm really big into spirituality and
Right,
all that
right,
stuff
right.
now, right? So it's
Right.
like there's things that's happened to strengthen that. And even with the affirmations, as I say them all the time, where those are like kind of my trifecta of keeping me in line, and keeping the inner me at peace, and keeping me focused and recharging what I need to focus going forward.
Sure.
All those things play a role in it. So, in true, Jay, with your question, is there really a moment where you hit consistency in that sort of apex approach? I think it's through those little wins
Okay.
for the rest of your days, because primarily it should be that way, that you hope to keep it going like that as you age and you get older, where you just don't rest on your laurels. Like, there are so many people who are out there who do what they do up until the last of their days.
Yeah, that is
And,
absolutely
because
true.
it's a passion, it's a way of
Yeah.
life for them, and it's something that's bigger than them, and they understand that.
Yeah.
And what we're trying to what we're doing and what we're pushing for, we understand is bigger than us.
Yep.
And it's destined for us to be doing what we're doing.
And I think in our society as well, because we kind of we're in a sweet spot when it came to like the internet boom, right? Because we
Oof.
were, at least I was 10 when 2000 hit, and
Yeah.
we're in a transition period between like beepers and these big old Nokia phones to social media and iPhones and iPads, and so we're in a sweet spot where we're not too young, where those things hit us and we didn't know how to handle them.
Yeah,
We're not at a point where we're too old. We're completely lost, but we have to handle them.
that's true.
So I think in this sweet spot that we're in, when we do get to an age where we're a little bit older, we can't move as quickly or can't do as much as before, like your late 60s, early 70s, I still think we're going to be doing something.
Mhm.
I'm going to be shocked if I don't see 70-year-olds on TikTok. I'm going to be honest, especially around, especially because if you're constantly living, you're not allowing the age to define where you should be.
Mhm.
You're always trying to grow, you're always discovering, there's always something that you're chasing. And I think to an extent that is healthy. I
Mm.
think to another extent it may not be, depending on if you live your life to the moment where it's like, this is a make or break for me, and if I don't achieve this, then I'm a failure. Because if
Mm.
you get to that point where you're just like, man, I wanted to play in the NFL, or I really wanted
Mm.
to own a sports team, whatever that apex goal is.
Mhm.
I think it is important to chase, because you have a purpose, there's something that you're working towards, there's a dream that you have that you want to accomplish.
Mhm.
But I think two things can happen. One, there are items in your life that there's situations that may occur that may prevent you from getting to that level, and you have to understand that maybe that wasn't your true destiny.
Mhm.
Maybe there's something else that you still have to discover. Let that be the purpose for you being here. Because
Mhm.
what I've seen, and I've never played in the NFL, but I think with sports or anything in general where people are passionate about what they do, when it is time to say goodbye, they struggle to do it. You've seen athletes do it when it's time for them to go. They're like,
Yeah.
nah, I still got more in me, man. I know I'm in my 40s. I can still do more. I can still get it. And unfortunately, they struggle in their day-to-day life because that is always what they knew.
So can I ask you a question then?
Sure.
So would you agree that it's important to have to seek more than a purpose?
Yes, I do believe that it is important to seek more than a purpose, but I think it would be a struggle if you try to do all at one time.
That's true.
I think if you focus on certain things in your life, and okay, at this stage, this is where I project myself being,
Okay.
then I can put all my energy in that thing. which is the only reason why, like, even for this and discovering yourself, that's why I said, okay, in your 20s, what does that look like? In your 30s, what does that look like? In your 40s, 50s, and 60s, what does that look like? Because I think it'll only benefit you to structure your life in a specific way.
To work towards accomplishing
to work towards accomplishing an actual, and when you hit that accomplishment, what is next for you? What does the next stage look like? But I think if you're trying to focus on multiple things at one time, you won't end up hitting any of those in a manner that is productive for you, in a manner that you've like, okay, I've reached the pinnacle here. Because honestly, you can't reach multiple pinnacles at one time. There's one thing that you focus on, you become the best at that, and then you level up from there. So you get to the point of saying, okay, for example, let's say I just started working in a company. I am an assistant manager, right? So I fulfill all those duties to an extent where my management team sees that I'm doing them well. I can then level up. Right now I'm a manager in that same field, that same area. Then now I'm a senior manager. Now I'm an executive director. Now I am, the next stage above that, but you're still looking after the things that got you to that point. So it's like, if you should focus, if that is exactly what you believe your purpose is, you focus on that as you continue to level up. And only when you get to that point is then when you transition on to something else. I think that is the only way you could successfully look back on your life in your 70s and 80s and say, I've done everything I wanted to do. I did everything that I could possibly do. I am absolutely satisfied with everything I've done, all the lessons I've learned, all the troubles I've had, all the hardships I've done, and I did it my way because of the discovery that I was constantly doing decade after decade, year after year. All the work I was putting in got me to this level where I am now, which is I've done exactly what I've planned out to do in my life. The map that I was on, the destiny that was structured for me to accomplish, I have accomplished. I am completely satisfied. I think honestly, that is goals. Like another thing I do see in our generation, it seems like it's somehow tough to be satisfied, or it seems like being satisfied is something that is looked down upon now, because I see this constant loop in the personal development industry, where it's like, you just got to keep constantly improving. You got to constantly improve. You got to keep doing this. You got to keep doing that. Don't be satisfied. Don't look at the accomplishments you have. Just keep rising. But I think at some point you have to practice gratitude. You have to understand how far you've come and how much you have accomplished in order to continue to propel you to an actual destination. I think if you're constantly improving, you're not measuring the quote unquote success you believe you're getting, then you're spinning your wheels. And then when you get to your 60s or 70s, you're like, damn, see, I wish I would have done this more. I wish I would have leveled up here, because that was the stage that I was at where I didn't take advantage of XYZ.
So would you say it's important at that point to just, that goes back to the little wins?
Sure.
To acknowledge them.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely. I think it's vital for success that you acknowledge those little wins. I mean, I can call those little wins mini milestones, right? Like, if you're,
there you go. I like that.
You're
hashtag mini milestones.
Hashtag mini milestones. Like, if you're, for example, you're trying to lose weight, right? You're like, all right, I want to lose 50 pounds. Like, if you just look at the scale and you look at that number and you're like, I know where I want to get, but yet you don't understand the steps you have to take to get there, you wouldn't actually get there. So those mini milestones, it's like, okay, this week my goal is to lose 10 pounds, right? Let's say, not 10 pounds, a lot, 5 pounds. Let's say 5 pounds, 3 to 5 pounds. You have that written down. You get to that milestone. You get to the end of the week. You see you only lost 3. Okay, let me recalibrate. Let me see what else I have to exclude or include in order to hit that goal. Then you hit that goal. You move on to the next milestone, and then the next milestone. And after each milestone, what's going to happen is, this is where I think true motivation comes from.
Okay.
True motivation to me comes from progress. If you're seeing progress in the gym, if I go to the gym and I'm like, all right, I know I want to build my strength up. I want to get my bench press up to a certain amount. I want to hit 405 pounds. If I started a gym and I'm only maxing out at 315, Yet the next month I come in, I am now at 335, 340. I am then going to be more motivated to go back to the gym because I'm like, what I'm doing is working. Let me continue to do that and then even do more so that I can get to my goal. So I think those mini milestones will help people achieve their goal in a more effective and efficient way. I think people are looking at the end before they even begin. And they're like, I don't have enough time. I'm already 30. I guess at this point I should be settled and have a family. 40s are next. Like, that's why I'm going to be taking my kids to college and, all that stuff. So they start panicking before they even start to get into discovering themselves. Take it one day at a time, 1% at a time. Look at those mini milestones and understand that that's where your motivation will come from. Seeing those mini milestones being accomplished time after time after time, that will allow yourself and propel yourself towards reaching that goal. That I think is the true way that you can, and it doesn't have to be with weights, or exercise or anything like that. It could be with discovering yourself. You write down those goals, write down exactly where you were before, what the mini milestones are. Maybe it's affirmations, maybe it's prayer, maybe it's meditation. Make sure that you're hitting those, and you're going to see yourself transition. You're going to see yourself be calm in the most tense situations where maybe 5 weeks ago you would have blown a gasket. Right. That is a change. That is a you're like, wow, I am changing. So then you'll be motivated to continue to go and continue to grow and continue to change. So I think that's all it is. Look, honestly, your age is just a number. I've seen people in their 40s and 50s just discover who they were. And then for the next 30 years plus, they're able to fulfill their goals and their dreams. So I don't want to say that, your age is going to dictate where you should be. You're going to do that. That's how you do that. That's how you discover yourself. So regardless where you are in your life now, just know that it is never too late to find yourself. Absolutely. It's never too late to discover yourself.
Yep, that was a truth for me. And I'm so glad that I got it when it came, when I was ready to receive it. When I was ready to do the work, because had it been in my 20s, I wouldn't have been ready. I wouldn't have been ready, Jay. Even with where I was and the healing I was working through at that point, oh man, I was not ready for this level. So I'm glad I received it when I did, because like you said, it's really important to keep in mind that it's for you to discover who you are, and it's your job to do that. No one else, so I think we hit some good pointers, man.
Yeah, this was a good conversation. And that's really what I love about these podcast episodes. It's the conversation piece. It's getting really honest. I feel as though us feeding off of each other, we're discovering more about each other.
We are.
We are.
So it's all these years we've known each other for a decade plus.
Yes.
And I feel as though we've learned even so much more about each other in depth than even we had realized, guys.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy how that happens. And building this brand, we've been able to learn more about our followers too. Everyone who's listened, anyone who's subscribed to our page, anyone who's commented, number one, we thank you. But then number two, know that we learn from the ideas that you give us. Absolutely. We learn from the answers that you give us. On some of the posts I've seen people answer what their hardest habit to break was, or what they love about themselves. And I love that back and forth. I love that communication, because you can see that a lot of people are beginning to feel comfortable expressing themselves. Both men and women. And I love to see that openness. I love to see that openness. I think in a community like we're building, that openness is required. Honestly, it's necessary. It's necessary to grow. It's necessary to build. It's necessary to discover yourself.
That part right there, I couldn't put it any better, Jay. Just discovering yourself, and it's enlightening to do that in a group of people who are just eager to do that as well, and truly just want to support one another. So this is where we are in life. This is what we're doing. It's destined to get to this point. You were destined to be here on this episode with us, destined to get these gems.
Absolutely.
So please accept them and just be ready to continue to do that work for yourself to grow.
Growth is never easy, man. My God.
We never said that.
No. Let me tell you. If you're looking at this, please, it is not easy. It is a day-to-day battle.
It's a grind.
You constantly have to be talking. You got to be present with yourself. You got to be honest with yourself.
Yes.
You have to be able to build yourself up to be able to keep going forward, because it's going to take a lot of mental strength, spiritual strength, physical strength, energy. All of those things is going to take. It's going to take a community too.
Yes.
Please don't feel like you're by yourself out there, and we don't want you to take this journey alone. That is why we're here for you.
Mm.
Again, subscribe to this podcast, subscribe on YouTube. It's in the link. Click that button, comment below on on whatever you believe is exactly what self-discovery was for you. Wherever you are in that self-discovery phase, regardless of the age that you're at, look,
Yeah.
whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, doesn't matter. Where are you in that stage of discovering yourself?
Yes.
That's what we want to see. That's what
Yes.
we want to understand. And again, if you tell us this story, guys, you will be featured in one of our forthcoming community outreach segments. So again, you could follow us on YouTube. You can subscribe. You can subscribe. You will subscribe. We want you to subscribe.
And it's free.
It's free.
It is
Where
free.
you go with this free word again? I don't understand.
You know what? It's an exciting word to use. I don't think anyone disagrees with free being free.
Free.
It's free.
Wow.
Use it.
What in life is free? Especially in this country, nothing. But you can find us on Spotify as well. You can find us on Facebook. Of course, you can find us on IG as well. We're everywhere. We're constantly growing, and we want to grow with you.
Yes.
That is the point of this community. That is the point of this podcast. That is the point of Acromis Fitness. The whole Acromis brand is about growth. So please continue to grow with us, continue to grow within yourselves. And I can guarantee you, you will be able to live a much more fulfilling life.
Absolutely.
That is an absolute promise. Now, in order to live a fulfilling life though, bro, like I feel, again, we talked about growth. We talked about things that we have to go through, the struggles. We got to go through the mud to be able to reach our goals, to be able to discover ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think that really does start with facing your fears. I think being able to face
now, Jay.
And look, it's not like everybody has fears, right? Like when I was young, I feared thunderstorms. You know, I wasn't too fond of tigers in the zoo. Like we all have our different fears. I'm not talking about those sort of surface level fears. I'm talking about getting in there. Your deepest fears. The things that you are afraid of the most, that you don't even want to say out loud because you are also afraid of people judging you, or you are afraid of how you would even react with getting it out there. It puts you in a vulnerable spot when you put those things out there, because you're like, damn.
I call those breakthrough moments.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. They are absolutely breakthrough moments. So, man, next Sunday, that's going to be a deep conversation, man. There's some fears that I've had in my life and continue to have to this day that, look, I have not told a soul, honestly. And again, we all have those deep fears. It sits there, but I believe the way that we can face those fears, it's by approaching them, it's attacking them, it's getting through them and growing through them, understanding what they are, and being able to build up, being able to level up, being able to continue to grow, knowing that you were able to face those deeper fears, and those fears no longer hold you back.
Hey, look, brother.
Woo.
I'll be here with you next week, man.
You're
gonna let them out. I'm always forthcoming, but I definitely would share those parts of me and what I'm still facing through too, bro. So, like, we're gonna get into it, and we're gonna talk on various of fears, because there's so many different.
It's gonna be a conversation, just like this back and forth was today. It is gonna be conversations, man. It's it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
This.
Yes,
you got this.
It's gonna be a journey. Scott, I got to do a lot of prayer this week.
It's all right, man. No, we're gonna ride that wave, and we're gonna get there. We're gonna have a great topic on that. Facing your deepest fears, guys. So just keep that in mind. Get yourself emotionally ready for it. Start thinking about what that looks like to you as well. Because we all have them.
We all do. We keep them bottled up. We keep them suppressed, but sometimes that may even hold us back from where we want to be and where we truly are supposed to be,
Absolutely.
discovering ourselves as well.
Mhm.
So join us next Sunday for another Recromas podcast, episode 20. Man, I feel like we got to do something really special on that podcast. Be like, yeah, we hit another milestone, another mini milestone, right?
Yes.
Oh boy, episode 20, facing your deepest fears. Wow. Join us next Sunday, episode 20, where we dive deep into this, y'all. But until then, look, we want y'all to have a blessed week. We want y'all to enjoy the week that's coming up. It's Memorial Day. Enjoy that day off. Cook some burgers, cook some hot dogs, drink some of that good old drink. Do whatever you need to do to take some time to be within yourself, and invite us over, because we're always hungry.
Hey.
We're always willing to eat. You got some leftovers?
Let us know.
Invite us over.
Hey.
We'll make a special appearance.
Absolutely.
We don't mind.
Yeah.
We don't mind at all. Absolutely. So until next Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, I am J.H. Gibbons.
And we'll see.
Peace.